what I want to say first before I get into what I want to talk about today, most religions and spiritual quests and things like that have a degree you can attain. Minister, rabbi, preacher in a born-again church or just an evangelist church. You can get your degrees. You can get certified by a person in that. You can take religious courses to get degrees in religion. You cannot get a degree in God, death, and spirit, which I feel I have much more awareness and actual facts about it than anybody could be teaching in any course in the physical world. Because I had 5 death experiences, I spent 35 years at least traveling out of my body. I met with angels, deities, gods. I worked doing exorcisms as well. So the experiences is important when you talk about a subject. I mean, in a Christian religion, exorcisms are kind of like hush-hush, and the ones that are done are kind of kept outside the public. And then again, how successful are they? And there's reasons for that, but I'm not going to go into exorcisms today. Maybe I will do a show on that one day. But I want to deal with the words that we need to work with on a daily basis in our life and trying to understand the difference between them. If you pulled up the site, I talk about the different words that we're going to be talking about. But each person has their words that they like to call what they work with. An angel, a guide, spiritual master, dimensional being, alien, God, deity. All those words are how different people perceive who and what they work with. Now, the difference that I want to try to explain to you, they are all different. It's not like we all worship the same God. We all don't worship the same God. If we all did, we would respect God and the world would be incredible. So the concept of the God or the being or the entity or the person or whatever you work with is where your attention is, especially when you want to ask a favor or ask for healing, ask whatever you ask of that. And that's also should be limited to, we're living in a physical reality, and when you go into a spiritual, a different realm or dimension, and the higher you go, the more spiritual it becomes. So I'm not like most people. I don't say I'm spiritual, and I also don't say there's many spiritual people on the planet. To say you're spiritual, you have to be living a spiritual life and be able to do spiritual things. I mean, just saying things doesn't prove you're anything. I mean, there's many masters and teachers out there that say they're spiritual and they're powerful and all those words. And I worked with a few of them, and 1 or 2 of them could prove who and what they said they were. Now, if you're going to work with a physical person as a master or a teacher, realize they're limited to the physical reality, the physical awareness, and the physical programming of the mind. I want to mention the Bible. The Bible has many facts in it. Many of them are lies and stories, and there's small bits of truth within a lot of them. Now, how can I say that? I put my life on the line, what I speak, what I do, and what I say. I'm only accountable to God. I'm not accountable to anything other than that. No God, a little God, or president, vice president, Congress, or mother or father, all those images that we have as controlling us, they do not control who and what I am, and they can't. And I will not let them. They could try, but I know where I go when I die, and that's all I care about. And we'll get into those words like love, compassion, Christ consciousness, because most people use them in many different ways, like unconditional love. And I could have debated somebody a couple days ago about that word. And when I asked him what is unconditional love, and he said compassion, faith, belief, trust, respect, all those words are not unconditional love. They're a different aspect of who we are as soul. So when I want to get into today is going into how do we know what we deal with is real? What is what we deal with? Where does it come from? Will it help us? Is it beneficial for us or not? And what I would ask you first, what do you want to get? What do you want to receive in this world? What do you want to do? Now, ego is one thing, and we have to have some ego to live life. But our ego shouldn't be overpowering soul. Soul has its own awareness. And I've been debating the Dalai Lama, the Pope, and you name it, about the aspect of soul. And Buddhism about mind, and mind is the physical body inside the brain, which I don't want to get into detail, not right now. But what matters is what you can prove and learn yourself that can help you in your life and help you prepare for death. All right? It's not about escaping reality or giving up on reality. It's about learning to work with it while you're here in this physical body. Sure, you can learn a few things. Most of what you learn here in this reality, in the lower realm, no matter this plane, another world, another dimension, in the lower realms is still not going to be beneficial in the higher realms, which Jesus or is written about in many different paths. So, if you didn't experience them, it's hard to talk about them. So a lot of people cannot talk about anything beyond the astral plane, because there's many things that happen on the inner world. And I have people that I work with, one of the top psychics that I know on the planet. And because he's in a family it was a multiple family going back like 10 generations. And they were all psychic gifted. And I worked with him. And he confirmed things that I saw and worked out myself. So when you have somebody tell you something different, then it's a lot. Unable to accept it would be a good word to put it. You shouldn't. Just because somebody says something that you are or you were doesn't mean anything to you until you experience it and understand it. And most people need to hear something good. Most people will not pay for the truth. And I'll say this over and over. They'll pay for a lie much faster than they will pay for the truth. Because the truth is real, and it could hurt. Where a lie, tell me something, make me feel good and feel happy, I'll pay for it. And in this world, which is depressing, which we need to change somehow, is that 99% of everybody on this planet has to drink to socialize. And that's sad. Or do drugs. I mean, that's not where we are at a spiritual level, or saying we're at a spiritual level. And an excuse, well, I have to socialize. I socialized all my life, and I never drank. So it's not like you have to do it. You'll be forced, and people will try to force you to do it and say you have to and you should. But it's always you that determine every step you take. Sure, you can blame Lucifer, you can blame demons, or you can blame aliens, whatever you prefer. It's you, your soul. Soul goes beyond all that eventually, in many lifetimes from now, or maybe in another lifetime from now. But it has the ability to rise above all that. That's only the physical level in the lower realm of God's worlds. It's the starting point. It's not any better than if you were in college or you went back to kindergarten. If you start in kindergarten, you got a long way to go to get out of school. So here on planet Earth, people are just learning to respect each other, and they're not doing that well. And then to respect the relationship, they're not learning that either. And people accept it. Oh, well, we don't need to get married no more. Marriage was a commitment between two beings, accepting each other. I mean, there was never anything bad about that idea. It's man with his egotistical mind saying it's never enough, or everything on the other side of the fence is better than what's on my side of the fence, meaning cheating and roaming, or just leaving a relationship. When you create a reality with your partner, it should be for life. And that's what marriage was all about. Making a commitment. When you commit to something, it becomes more important than without a commitment. If you commit to God, guess what? You have no other choice. You can't walk sideways. You can't walk backwards. You can, but you'll fall greatly. Many of the greatest spiritual people that were existing on this planet did fall greatly. Read the story of Miller Reaper. I mean, listen to these beings that had power and everything, and they screwed up. So, and Jesus said this, with total freedom, which everybody wants, comes total responsibility. God doesn't grant anybody the abilities until they're respectful. God gave everybody on planet Earth the ability to remote view other people. What would people be doing? Going in people's houses and staring at them, going inside a bank and watching the combination number? I mean, and then even being able to predict the future. If you could predict the future 1 minute, just 1 minute, you could go to every casino and clean them out. So there's reasons why we don't have those abilities anymore. And I could go back to my first incarnation into the physical world when I was in Atlantis. We had all those abilities, but you couldn't use them badly. Everybody could read each other, knew what they were thinking and feeling, so you couldn't lie. You didn't need to, and you couldn't. And it was about working with each other, because that's all there was. It was the story of Adam and Eve in the land of the Garden of Eden. And when you're there, it was beautiful. We didn't kill animals. So in that frame, do we have to work with masters, teachers, and guides? No, it was balance, harmony. If you were ever in that, for real, not in dream state, because in dream state we all want freedom, we want this, that, and the other thing, but imagine that in the present time frame. Unless 100% of the planet was in perfect freedom and harmony and compassion, would it ever work? Freedom, doing what you want, would just give a bad person the freedom to do whatever they want. I mean, if you look at the morals of society, which we don't have any, look at what's happening in society, you would understand what I'm trying to say about that. What I'm going into this today for is people need something else, not money, not a better home, not a better car, a better belief system in who they are and what they are. And how do you become that? Well, it takes help. And you need something that's going to help you understand that. I was gifted, and I don't expect everybody to be as gifted as I was, meaning deities coming to me, angels coming to me, everything coming to me. I didn't know what came to me when it came to me. So, but understanding what that is and translating it into what is it really. Because, and I'm going to try to start off with the number one thing, is angels. Sure, I'd say 60% of middle-class people talk to angels or think they do. Maybe that's even too high. Maybe let's start at 25%. At least 25% do. And they think they talk to an angel and they get their guidance and stuff like that. Now, poverty people, homeless people, have no time to think. The only thing they're thinking about is getting a meal to eat, to live and survive. So it's not the starving people, which is 90% of the planet, which aren't in a space where they can sit back and pray and say, well, Jesus, God, give me this, or I want that, or anything like that. Sure, they're begging for a meal, and they don't care who gives it to them. They got the children on the street corners begging. So imagine that place and saying you're spiritual, and you got $2 million in your back pocket, and you walk by. You're spiritual? By what degree, by whose classification are you spiritual? Sure, homeless people, and I mean poor people, and I know this from working in a phone company, were the only people that ever tried to tip me. If I went in a very poor person's house fixing their phone lines, they would try to slip me $1 or $2. I'm talking 30 years ago. And they would say, you have to take it. And I would squeeze it in my hand, start talking to them. When they weren't looking, I threw it back on their bureau. I couldn't do that. I couldn't take money from them. Sure, you walk in a rich person's house. Oh, don't get my floor dirty. Oh, don't touch that. Oh, don't do this. Thank you for your work. Goodbye. And we weren't supposed to take tips on a real professional level. I mean, when somebody hands you money and say you have to take it, it's pretty hard to say no. Well, I can't do that, but just take it anyway. But that's a different story. What I'm trying to deal with is people that talk about being spiritual. To work with beings, angels, and all that stuff, angels don't come down and talk to every homeless person. They can't. They got nothing to offer them. Angels come down with a warning. They don't come down with get a better job, or meet this or that. Now, one of the few people who claimed to work with an angel was the angel was Gabriel. It was Muhammad, and he met with him twice. And then he came up with all these 36 sayings of what Gabriel said. And I went over with a time with a comb in detail. And I'm going to do a show on it somewhere, somehow, sometime soon. because